can't anything else become a Fevicol overnight? Because you'll have to keep doing it. Because people's expectations, your eye will ask you, when is the next Fevicol ad? Then it becomes a part of your bloodstream. So when you go home, I have told clients, when you go home, when you meet your wife, you say, hello sweetheart, how are you doing? So नहीं होता ना, इन लोगों से ऐसे क्यों बात कर रहे हैं? इंसान की तरह बात करना. University cricket and under-22 cricket and even Ranji Trophy cricket used to travel in unreserved second class, third class compartments. Correct. For 48 hours, sometimes from Delhi to Chennai to Bangalore to Mysore city, over 40 hours. But that's where you were seeing India. That's where you're seeing people. That's where you were meeting people. That's where somebody gave you a paratha rolled up to say, beta ye khaoge. That's where I learned advertising.
Okay, sir. So my name is Shantanu Deshpande.
Hi, Shantanu.
I'm the founder and CEO of Bombay Shaving Company. This is our older logo, but we have rebranded. I originally come from the city of Pune. So I did my schooling there, engineering from Nagpur, business school from IIM Lucknow. Then I was a consultant at McKinsey for 5 years, and then I started. So I have the most standard career path ever. And one thing that I've done entrepreneurship for 9 years, sir, and over the last 2 years, I have brought eminent leaders in the world of thought, whether it's entrepreneurship, business, philanthropy, education, etc., to this place we call the BarberShop. It's actually usually mostly hosted in our office in Delhi.
You should have called it, this is called Nike.
हाँ,
ये Nike दुकान है.
Nike दुकान. Correct. तो BarberShop है. यहाँ पे हम लोग, हमारे जो consumers है sir, there are younger consumers who look up to entrepreneurship as a potential, destination for them to achieve their dreams. Right? And I think telling stories, and you have exemplified this in the best way possible, telling stories of people who've been there, done that is probably the best way to do it. So BarberShop is a place where people come, they share their stories. The spinal theme is entrepreneurship, but conversations go all over the place. Like the conversations go into being a father or a mother. Conversations go into like difficulty, failure. Vinita,
let it go openly.
Right, and I usually start.
In fact, if you go back to the history of Nai, कि नाई की दुकान में ही बातें इधर से उधर जाती थी.
Correct.
कि नाई ने इससे बोला, नाई ने उससे बोला. And one more thing used to happen in the good old days, कि जब रिश्ते लेके जाते, नाई रिश्ता लेके जाता था. This is serious stuff.
Correct.
कि फलानी की बेटी है, उसका बेटा है, नाई उसके बाल काटता था, उसके भी काटता था. Then he used to take the रिश्ता. The Nai had a big role in our society.
Especially in smaller townships where it was like one Nai ki dukaan for the village or the town. The Nai also had the responsibility because that's when the person would be his most vulnerable, relaxed self. So would share with the Nai, and Nai had a responsibility of being sacrosanct with information. Could easily have been a gossiper, but actually was using it for business dealing.
Nai had a big role.
Yeah. So BarberShop is a place where people come, and usually we dissect industries, companies, experiences, but the wealth of experience that you bring, sir, and you're one of the people we look up to a lot in our organization. We sell shaving products. हम लोग we are trying to build a company out of India that competes with Gillette, Philips, Veet, Venus. Our investors, Veet is our investor as well. But telling stories is something we do for a living. But
we'll try. We'll get into it.
Sir, आपके बारे में थोड़ा I wanted to start off with the world of advertising and how it has changed given just the nature of media is so different today.
Looking at today's, perhaps is a very narrow look at it. Advertising goes back to when it was not even called advertising.
Correct.
The very fact that आपकी लड्डू की दुकान थी किसी छोटे से गांव में. And the word used to travel. Have you had the laddus from Vidit's shop or Shantanu's shop? तो यार वहाँ वो है very good laddus. तो यार 4 को बताना. That's advertising.
Correct.
So any communication was advertising.
Correct.
And it's seen so many forms over the years when media came, and the best advertising I have seen in my life is when I used to be in college. I'm a Jaipur boy. I did my school in Jaipur. And then I got into St. Stephen's College in Delhi.
Okay.
We used to go on buses and trains. That's the kind of money that was available to the family. So for miles together on those walls, there used to be something written by that brush. Big. And it just kept saying, Rishte, 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 Rishte. And you just kept wondering, what? It's been 5 kilometers, just keep saying, Rishte, Rishte. Then in between, one used to come saying, एक बार मिल तो ले, एक बार मिल तो ले, एक बार मिल तो ले. यार, समझ में नहीं आया. And then you realize, when he said, एक बार मिल तो ले के बाद में 27 रैगरपुरा, I remember the thing, 27 रैगरपुरा, करोल बाग, नई दिल्ली. He was a matrimonial
company
shop.
Okay.
Company. And nothing he spent. He just went to the villages and said, Rishte, Rishte. And he got you involved saying, yeah, what the hell is this Rishte, Rishte?
So in the passing train, you're reading this?
For 10, 15, 20 kilometers. One place only said Rishte, Rishte. What is Rishte, Rishte? After 1 kilometer, Rishte, Rishte. Another kilometer, Rishte, Rishte. Then another kilometer, it says, ek baar mil to le. Yaar, kisse mil le, kyun mil le? But now you're watching.
Yeah.
He has got you engaged. That is the key to engagement, is the key to any kind of communication. It is not about me telling you something, whether you're listening or not. I have got you involved. Yeah, what's he saying? And then when you realize that this guy is saying, ek baar mil to le, he's saying, okay, I'll get marriageable boys and girls meet each other through their families.
Correct.
And I can help you get them married. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. What they call teasers right now, this was bloody father of teasers.
That is true.
I actually went to their
you went to the
outlet.
Shop?
Many years later.
As a potential consumer?
Many years later when I got into advertising, and I used to remember this. Now the old man had died. Yeah. One lady was there. Business was not. I just sat and chatted with them. I wish I'd gone 10 years earlier and met the real guy. But that is what advertising and communication is.
Correct.
So what we are seeing right now in the last 2-3 years is complete crap, because it's not engaging, it's counting. So many people are reached. And I'm asking you a very simple question. How many people did you impact?
Correct.
That is the question.
Correct.
That you reached so many, but they were sleeping.
Yeah.
Or you reached them in such a fashion that you were so boring that they didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
So that is what, to me, communication is.
No, but sir, I think you're absolutely right. I think there are some iconic communication stories that, for me, like they create mental models in my brain which will be there from the age of 10, 12 till the time that I am on this planet. And because of the power of engagement and the fact that I was interested and I was at an age where it kind of made an imprint. But today I see that I would see advertising only on a television when my mom was watching a serial, for example, or if I'm watching a cricket match, or if I'm reading the newspaper and on the sports page there is something.
Yeah.
3-4 जगह थी. आज के डेट में that media has become so proliferated. There are so many brands and political organizations and e-commerce companies and just talking. So now it's becoming about who can talk A, the loudest for impressions, and B, the most crazy thing that stays. So
it doesn't have to be crazy. It's the most interesting thing.
Is it?
See, it is. If I tell you a story that you want to pick up the phone, tell your friend, Yaar, somebody's told me a fantastic story. You're not counting whether it was 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You're saying, I heard something fantastic. When people are bombarding you, when you said that, the first thing that you said that either somebody is all over around you, actually they irritate you. That's the worst advertising to do. I am telling you something that you didn't like, but I am telling you 50,000 times. That's what I'm seeing on IPL.
Yes.
Right now, I'm seeing 1 movie star, 2 movie stars, 3 movie stars, 4 movie stars in 20 seconds time.
Yeah.
And none of them is saying anything to me. None of them I want to remember.
Yeah.
So that is waste of money. That is what I call advertising, which is not doing the job.
But IPL is, again, it's a decibel war. And now the decibel war has become how funky can you be? Because that has to be memorable in some way.
No, see, funky is not the only memorable. Like
hey, so sorry for disturbing your viewing experience. But if you like the content we're putting out, please like and subscribe. It will help us bring more content to you. Enjoy.
The one ad that I like on this IPL
हाँ.
is not funky at all. The Rohit Sharma and Sunil Shetty one.
Correct.
No, it's a little story beautifully said. It's not funky. It's not saying कि मैं इसके सर पे ये मार दिया. Yeah, one guy will come and say that नाम तो सुना होगा. अरे यार, go take a flying whatever.
Correct.
So I think that one guy got away with Rahul Dravid getting angry. Doesn't define advertising. No, it does not.
What do you think about that? That kind of advertising? It's just like kind of like for me as a brand owner, I always wonder whether great stories kind of attribute to brand love over a period of time. Like
Unless they do it, it's waste of money. If you don't love a brand, then appearing 20,000 times around me is useless. Completely useless. Same time, I will show you something from Fewikwik. It has not run 50,000 times. It ran 5 times, and you have gone and told 50,000 people.
Correct.
That created brand love. Now, you say that there's a simple little thing which you and I don't use on a day-to-day basis, which was used to make this table. And you say, I love it. The way they tell me the story, I love the guys.
Yeah.
So, you started by talking about brand love. Brand love comes from the fact that how beautifully does your brand talk to you. Like today you take Cadbury's dairy milk. There's such a lot of brand love.
Correct.
Because they're into a phenomenal scenario of generosity. They're not selling chocolates for the last 5 years. They're saying, okay, Shah Rukh Khan actually came in and spoke on behalf of the small retailer.
Yeah.
You say, yeah, this is my brand. What wonderful things it does. It does things like the new one, that be nice and find your first coach.
Correct.
And be grateful to the person.
Correct.
Now, these things that make you, give you brand love. Things that I tell you that this chip was made from a farm which had this kind of seed and this and that. And naam to yaad hoga. Get lost. Get lost.
But do people like this is long-term play? People, you're making it sound simple, but telling a story over and over again, which is powerful, simple, and hits the emotion of the viewer in a way that is almost transformative in that moment, is not an easy art. Like we try to do it, it's not an easy art.
It's not an easy art. But over and over again, on the 30th of the month, you want a salary. That's not easy art for you to give it to me.
Yeah.
So, learn to earn.
Yeah.
If you don't learn to earn, then it's a one-off thing. वो आपने द्रविड़ के उस सर पे से किसी मार दिया, ठीक है, आप 2-3 महीने लोगों ने आपके बारे में लिख दिया. But आगे बढ़ो. Show me. How do you take it forward? And I hope you do. I'm not saying that you're useless.
Correct.
But take it forward, like you said, over and over and over again. That's where the life is.
People one thing which I've learned, sir, over a period of time is that communication has to be consistent, authentic, and has to feel like it's coming from a human being.
It has to touch you there.
It has to be human. Yeah. It cannot be from a brand or a company or organization. It has to come from the human. Like Fewikwik, for example, was just like the people who you visually. I remember there was, what was that? Chip, 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 chip. That whole thing, right? It was so. Fewikwik का ad था वो शायद one of the products of Fewikwik.
वो चिप 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 वो उसका
Fewikwik का था ना envelope
बच्चों का.
हाँ. So for me.
But for 30 years we have done all of Vidlite, all of Fewikwik, all of Fewikwik, all of M-Seal, all of this thing. If 30 years is not something that is difficult, then what is difficult? 30 years, but we have had a ball.
Yeah.
We had a ball, so we wanted to do the next one. We had a ball, and people had a ball. And I come back to the BarberShop.
Correct.
The success of my ads, I think, and I've written about it also, कि it's not about the numbers you show me here and there. It is about जब मेरा नाई मुझसे पूछता है सर फेविकॉल का अगला ऐड कब बना रहे हो? That is
People
a
look forward
success.
to it, right?
That is bigger than an award to me.
The real person.
But that he knows that I do those, but he's putting pressure on me. Next कब है? He loves it. That is brand love.
I think but it's so important to understand that it has to be a simple story that is told over a period of time.
And people write to you and saying, sir, I've got 10 ideas on Fevicol. So you have inspired the creative person in him.
Correct.
बोले यार ये तो मजा आ गया, फिर इतना आसान दिखता है ये तो मैं भी लिख सकता हूँ. I would love it that people say मैं भी लिख सकता हूँ.
Really?
Of course.
Yeah.
And thousands of letters I have that people said, I have a Fevicol idea. Which is lovely. People should think that way. The magic of creativity, that all of us are creative. It's just that some are suppressed from every angle to say, नहीं, ये बकवास की चीज में टाइम मत खराब करो.
But sir, tell me about how did you get from that St. Stephen's boy who was riding trains and intrigued by ads over 20 kilometers of a matrimonial shop to someone who became a Padma Shri awardee, author and probably the voice of advertising?
इसमें बड़ी important चीज है which I want to talk to you about because hopefully some young people will be listening to you and me and will take something from what I'm saying. There's no Gyan, there's no 5-point program. I was number 8 child. 7 sisters above me. And number 8 child in a middle class family. And only interested in cricket.
Jaipur mein.
Jaipur mein. But my sisters were always encouraged to do anything creative that they do. So in my house, there was one playing sitar, one was doing debating practice with my father, one was singing songs. The one who was singing songs, her name is Ila Arun, all of you know her.
Wow.
That's my older sister. So, when later on in later years, when I came into advertising, I realized that I was playing cricket but breathing art, breathing society.
Say more.
Breathing people that was around me. When somebody was doing something, they think, but I was in the house. So I was playing cricket and this culture was around me all the time, which I didn't realize. And then I kept playing a lot of cricket later on also. I went on to play Ranji Trophy also later.
Correct.
Those days there was no money in cricket. University cricket and under 22 cricket and even Ranji Trophy cricket used to travel in unreserved second class, third class compartments.
Correct.
For 48 hours, sometimes from Delhi to Chennai to Bangalore to Mysore city, over 40 hours. But that's where you were seeing India. That's where you're seeing people. That's where you were meeting people. That's where somebody gave you a paratha rolled up to say, beta ye khaoge. That's where you saw families talking to each other. That's where I learned advertising. There's a chapter in my book which is called Training on Wheels. The whole chapter is on railways. What I learned from railways without realizing that one day it'll come handy.
It's a world in itself, right?
It's a world in itself. And why I said what I said about young people are listening to us, that everything is learning around you. Ignore मत करो. बहुत कुछ है सीखने को. बाद में कहाँ से आता है घूम के. You will say, thank God. And I tell people that you ignored your parents and your surroundings and now you're trying to go and do research to same kind of people. It was around you, damn it.
Yeah. But आज के डेट में अगर आप ट्रेन में जाओगे तो लाइक सब लोग फोन पे ही है. कौन नोटिस कर रहा है चीजों को?
क्योंकि उनको ये आपने कल्चर किसी ने सिखाया नहीं कि बेटा वो उस फोन में नहीं मिलेगा, ये वो दुनिया में मिलेगा. मैं बोलता हूँ, when I have spoken in my talks to Deloitte and all these modern day, and I said to their people, I said, life is a balance. There's a balance between what I'm going to say to you. Life is a balance कि कंप्यूटर में झांकोगे तो डेटा दिखेगा, नजरें ऊपर उठाओगे तो दुनिया दिखेगी. find the balance.
Yeah. Right.
So if you don't want to see what's around you, you're missing out. Data तो सबको same data मिलता है ना. Then why do some people excel?
Yeah.
Because they bring life to it.
Do you think the world was simpler without the data? Because I think the more data you have, the lesser human instinct you have. The lesser human instinct you have, the more difficult things become to understand.
I agree because you can have data, but you can't ignore
Correct.
life. So data can't give you human relationships. Can't give. जेल से इतने लोगों ने खरीदा, इतने लोगों ने ये किया. It doesn't tell you क्या उस टाइम उसके दिल में क्या था. तो coming back to the story that you're asking about me and my cricket and all that. So then that's what I was doing. And because I had very poor marks in science, maths, which my parents got me to do, in those days there was nothing else. Doctor bano, engineer bano, IAS bano. And because I had my poor marks, St. Stephen's gave me arts only. And thereafter for 5 years I was in scholarships because I was in the wrong subject. And I was playing cricket. So it was win-win, which just happened.
And what was the breaking point? Like, what was it? A mentor, a coach, a
friend of
particular
mine.
success story for you?
A friend of mine who later on went to teach at Harvard Business School.
Okay.
My classmate who actually told my parents. So their jaws fell when he said that, why don't you allow him to go to St. Stephen's? I said, St. Stephen's, who's going to give him admission? And why St. Stephen's? He said, he'll be moving around in good company.
Correct.
Something will inspire him. And I'm there. I will try and inspire him. And my parents agreed. I don't know how they agreed. And then they gave me arts. They gave me admission because of my cricket. And gave me arts. And in my first year in college, I stood first in the university.
Really?
Now that I'm sitting in Jodhpur at my aunt's place, and my another friend who went in Delhi from Central Secretariat, that's near Connaught Place, to Old Delhi, that's where St. Stephen's was, where the results were put up. And he called up my mother and said, do you know your son has come first in the university? She said, you must have read it wrong. Go back to the university and read it again. So
the faith was concrete.
So basically, when you find what you like doing, and there's the second thing I hope people see some merit in what I'm saying, which is when you find something that you're passionate about, you are bound to do well, no matter what it is. You are doing this Bombay shaving company thing without having a single hair on your head.
I shave my head. I shave my head.
So, that's your passion.
Yeah.
I'm saying passion जहाँ होगा ना, वहाँ आप कोई रोक नहीं सकता है. अब अपने आप को नहीं रोक सकते.
But passion, बहुत like it's a very like you say it again. You simplify it because you have experienced it, and now you have the
I've seen
benefit of hindsight. But
no, it's
people
not just
try to
mindset. I've seen
manufacture
it
passion also, no?
देखो, when you try and manufacture a passion, you are making it difficult for you.
Correct. But how do you distinguish? How do you know that you're passionate versus how do you know that I have to manifest it, I have to work hard towards it?
When you work hard towards it, then that means you're trying to chase something to achieve something. Passion is कि यार मुझे बहुत मजा आता है photography में. I want to do that photography. And suddenly you realize कि यार अगर मेरे पास एक लेंस होता तो मैं और कुछ कर लेता. Or it could be drawing, or it could be singing. I mean, where does this come from when we put on TV and see that young talent singing?
Correct.
It blows your bloody brains.
It's crazy. It's actually
Where did it come from? Everyone's parent was not a great singer.
Correct.
But it came from your urge to say, I want to learn.
So is passion for excellence in a particular field. Is that what it is? Or?
Excellence comes later. Passion for enjoying it. When you enjoy it, you get better. When you become better, you become close to excellence.
Correct. It's a virtuous cycle. I agree with that.
It is. I mean, when people ask me that when you do campaigns, how do you know it's a great campaign? And I tell them I don't. I only know that when I'm putting it through, that it's a good idea. Let's go with it. Great is decided by the audience, not by me.
Correct. But do you have is that instinct sharpened over a period of time कि यार I now know that
कि मजा आएगा इसमें.
हाँ कि आपको public sentiment पे instinct तो आ गया
मुझे मालूम कि मजा आएगा इसके अंदर. इतना मजा आएगा कि वो पागल हो जाएगा. तो ये तो मुझे नहीं मालूम. तो उसने बताया. मुझे थोड़ी मालूम था कि वो लड़की जब डांस करेगी क्रिकेट फील्ड पे फॉर कैडबरीज डेयरी मिल्क, that India will go mad. मुझे मालूम था this will be a very good ad to do for Cadbury's Dairy Milk. I didn't know that it's going to become an iconic thing forever. So do your best. Do your best to say, okay, this I think should go forward. And the world takes it up there in the skies. That's enjoy the game.
I want to break this down a little bit, like the Cadbury girl dancing ad, right? And I try to think about this for us also, and in general, I'm an observer of great communication across media, right? I think there are a lot of variables that, like the classic saying is, the thread has to go through a lot of eyes of many needles for it to work, right? So it's the music, it's the girl, the model herself, it's the choreography, it's the expression of the boy when he sees her. It is also the timing of that ad at a time for India, the country, when we were seeing Sachin come up and so on, right? So, how much can you really data plan versus...
No, data plan नहीं हो सकता वो किसी का बाप data plan नहीं कर सकता. जब data plan होता तो 10 ने उसके बाद में लड़कियां नचा के देख ली होती.
Correct.
Data plan नहीं है. Magic happens when passion is there. जो passion से यार वो लड़की ऐसे नाचेगी जैसे इन्हें पहले कभी डांस ही नहीं किया, मगर वो आज वो she's gone mad about what she loves.
Correct.
That means we will not get a choreographer. We did not.
Really?
Yeah.
You left it to her?
Yeah. Me and Mahesh Mathai, who directed the film, we said, yes, Koni, इसको अपने आप करना जो करना है. We took 14 takes, we only used the first one.
Are you serious?
After first one, Mahesh and I hugged each other and said, ये तो हो गया. बंद करें अब. Then we said, नहीं सेफ्टी के लिए रख लें, क्या पता चला, क्या पता फिल्म गड़बड़ हो जाए, कुछ हो. But we used the first one. What you've seen in your life is the first take. Music I'd recorded earlier only. And Louis and I, with very little time, Louis Banks and Louis played the first one and both of us started crying. We said, okay, this is it.
Really?
We are not doing any more. And then things kept happening. And sometimes there is always a God who puts everything together, like the way you said, ना ये भी ठीक हो गया, वो भी ठीक हो गया. एक cycle शुरू होती है, which keeps adding to your passion, and God says, okay, you have deserved this, I'll give you this chavanni more from there.
Yeah.
So
and how did it, like, for example, with Cadbury or Dairy Milk, right? How did you see that? Or you've seen the Fewikwik journey for 30 years, or the Cadbury journey. Many times people very quickly attribute it to one good ad. It's never one good ad. It's always a large set of people thinking.
Why can't anything else become a Fewikwik overnight?
Correct.
Because you'll have to keep doing it. Because people's expectations, you and I will ask you, when is the next Fewikwik ad?
Correct.
So, that is your passion that tells you कि यार अगला वाला इससे अच्छा करूँगा. Let me do something equally funny. Let me do something equally human. Let me do something that equally touches the hearts of people around you. Then it becomes a part of your bloodstream.
Do you put pressure on yourself as you become more and more? And that's the thing with success, right? Success, especially in the creative field, because it's so variable dependent, कि हमको लगता है कि like you're only as good as your last movie. You're only as good a batsman as your last inning.
Correct.
You're a cricketer.
Correct.
So, are you only as good as your last campaign? In which case, do you become more and more risk averse, which makes it completely counterproductive to making great creative communication?
That is the joy of it, ना कि अच्छा आज नहीं आ रहा ना आइडिया, चल किताब बंद कर.
Oh, is it?
कल देखेंगे. कल सुबह चाय पियेंगे. आ आएगा तो सही. अभी नहीं आया. This is not good enough. आगे बढ़ो. And there is a huge role that your client plays.
Okay.
They never told me कि परसों तक दे देना. They only told you, Piyush, when you get the next idea. Now when he says this kind of a thing, then he owns my shower time.
That is so true.
कि जब मैं सोच रहा हूँ shower time में तो यार उसका और तेरी यहाँ पे कुछ है. When people give you a brief which is so tightly defined, जिस मैं क्या सोचूंगा इसको साले को यही चाहिए ना, तो ये दे दो.
The best client are the ones who keep it open-ended for you. And do you think as an advertising professional, let's say you represented, like, to build out India's largest agency, one of the global giants in the space, but I think individually what you stand for is what clients could come to. Is that a thing? Like, institution versus individual in the creative world is a very unique, like there's a backing of an institution.
It's a good question, because institutions are actually made by individuals. When individuals come together, it becomes an institution.
Correct. That I agree.
When institution attracts people, then you become a better institution.
Correct.
So it's a circle. So it's not that all the work of Ogilvy is done by me only. No. How can you do that kind of work? A whole lot of people around you who came in because they said, at Ogilvy I'll probably get the chance to do the kind of things I want to do. Then they do those kind of things, then they attract more people.
Correct.
So it's a
cycle. But sometimes I wonder, like, even at consulting, with McKinsey, for example, they would say consultants whose client pool becomes larger than the institutional pool, or doctors. You want to go to the best cardiologist, wherever she's practicing or he's practicing, whether it's at Max Fortis, Apollo, Hinduja, etc. I don't care which hospital they're at. I want to go to them only.
Fair enough.
So in a field like yours, is that how industries are built? And which is fine. I think that's how.
No, but there are 2-3 things. I mean, I've seen it with doctors and everything. Their key 2-3 people, they travel with them. मैं उसके पास ही जाऊंगा, मिलेंगे उसकी जो हेड नर्स थी नहीं वो उसको ले जाती, क्योंकि देयर ऑल्सो यू रियलाइज कि दिस इज नॉट अ गेम विच कैन बी प्लेड अलोन. No, Brian Lara could win a series for West Indies despite being the best in the world. He needed surround.
Correct.
So yes, when best people change, you will realize कि वो 2-3 तो ले गए अपने और फिर बाकी वो ग्रो करेंगे. So don't ever think कि मैं अकेला कर लूँगा ये. When the best of the tennis players in the world, we think that they won the Wimbledon ये वो. उसके पीछे 26 लोगों की टीम है. There's one guy who's only getting this muscle correct.
Correct.
There's one guy who's getting his blood pressure and all these things right.
Correct.
So, again, coming back to what you're saying, it's a very interesting conversation on creativity. That don't ever be insecure. I come and share something with you and you say to me, okay, Piyush, if we add this to that, I can either be insecure to say, नहीं यार मेरा आइडिया है इसको, और I can say, यार ये तो तूने बड़ा अच्छा बोला, इसको डाल के देखता हूँ. And that's when it grows.
Correct.
And when you last for 30 years or more or less, whatever other people have done, it is that openness, it is that lack of insecurity that makes, otherwise that's when you get confined.
Correct.
I've seen people who have added one little thing to my ad which became iconic, and I look back and say, यार वो एक जरा सी अगर मैंने नहीं किया होता तो ये
कुछ और होता.
जो 7 out of 10 था वो 10 out of 10 नहीं बनता.
Give me examples.
And there's a very famous example of, there's a ad that I did for MCL called The Will.
Okay.
Where this bugger is bloody cheating, getting his dying grandfather
to find
add zeros, to add zeros. At the end of the film, that one drop comes and falls onto the one.
Correct.
And he's left with a whole lot of zeros.
Correct.
When I wrote the film, I was making the drop onto his signature, which amounts to the same thing.
Correct.
But the joy of saying उसने zero ही लगवाया था, साला zero ही invalid हो गया. Now, it's a huge difference.
Correct.
A much younger person than me, who came and said, Piyush, sorry to tell you this, how about you drop it? I said, yeah, this is a much better idea. He just only shifted my drop from a signature 1 inch away to a 1 on top. That's all it was. But
Story became very twisted, no? Yeah.
Story became larger than life.
I still remember the expression of the old person. Like,
Yeah.
it's
वो
probably
तो मर जाता है.
15 years. हाँ. पर उसका चेहरा याद है मेरे को.
वो कह रहा साले मैं I can't do anything. You're holding my hand and adding 0.
Correct.
And his face says that you bastard.
Yeah,
You're not
I
doing
don't want
the
to
right
do this.
thing.
Yeah. I remember him very clearly. But
वो वकील की आवाज भी है उसके अंदर. देखिए ये सही बात नहीं है. But he's not listening. He's only adding zeros.
yeah, that's true. And tell you one thing, like for create, it's amazing actually. I think about this, and I come from like my grandmother was a musician, my mom is a Hindustani classical singer, as is my brother. So I come from a family that is arts oriented. Even though I've had a very kind of engineering MBA kind of life.
Doesn't matter.
But I know creativity comes with the ability to listen and make it better, even if it comes from sources which may not be the most natural source of creativity otherwise.
Absolutely.
But there's also creative stubbornness when it comes to composition of a song or let's say a story, and to say, I know this is right and I don't want it to change beyond this. How do you balance not being secure in your idea and not being stubborn with your idea?
See, again, that's passion. Passion is telling you, नहीं यार इसमें अभी I can actually do something more. So that's why you try. Stubbornness is to say nothing better than this can ever be done. No. That's when somebody comes and says, drop that water on the first.
There's a certain amount of humility to the creativity that process.
Of course, it has to be. You know, one suggestion, one this thing, one little bird doing some action can tell you, maybe I should थोड़ा सा और देख कैसा है. That's the magic of creativity. I mean, at some point of time, the greatest of classical musicians say, क्या अभी पहुंच गए अपन on this one, and then say, okay, मैंने ये राग गाई इतनी, अभी मुझे लग रहा मजा आ गया.
Correct.
And अगली में देखूंगा कुछ और कहीं पे है which that demands it. And I'm demanding what happened to my coffee.
I don't know. Coffee, chai, I think maybe it's come and it's your?
So, where should it stop? It is up to you.
It's a big distinction, right? Do you have a love for your art or do you have a love for the art? And Ustad Allah Rakha, for example, is a classic example. I love the tabla. And they say that if you want to see passion in his eyes, watch him when he's playing the tabla. When you want to see love for the art in his eyes, watch him watching his son playing the tabla.
I've seen them both play together.
And I always, whenever I watch their videos on YouTube, I've not been
I've shot
lucky
them at this distance, both playing together. Because after Milesur, we did another film on national integration called Desh Rag,
Okay.
in which they played together. And they're getting the lyric right only by the tabla sound.
Yes, I remember that.
वो आंखों में उनकी तो आंखें तो क्या है
Was it
कि
the national anthem?
almost like.
Yes, it actually gives me goosebumps because I think there was two segments of that. Am I getting it right? Was it one which was the vocal where like all
Vocal one is Milesur.
and then
vocal
the
one, उसमें
instrumental
दूसरे वाले में थोड़ा vocal था.
हाँ.
मैंने लिखा था वो भी कि बजे सरगम हर तरफ से ताल कदमों पे जाए जाग, लब पे जागे गीत ऐसा गूंजे बनकर देश राग. And then in between pieces were played by the masters like Zakir Hussain Sahab and his father and many more. So that was magic. So eyes तो because अल्लाह रखा साहब की eyes बड़ी मोटी बड़ी थी, तो उसमें बहुत कुछ नजर आता था. Yes.
And that's the thing about art. Like they have a very cool matrix. Which is when you start your artistic career, they say it more in art, but I think it's applicable everywhere. It's in four sectors. Okay, what you know and what you think you know. Okay?
Correct.
So you start as a 20-year-old saying, I know not, and I know not that I know not.
Correct.
Then you move, you have a mentor, you have to do two,
Correct.
three. Then you go into, I know not, but I know that I know not.
Correct.
And then you move towards, I know, and I know that I know.
Hmm.
And then the final, like the nirvana is, I know, but I know not that I know.
Correct.
And that is when you are mesmerized by curiosity and passion. When
Correct. Because you're telling yourself कि ये अंत नहीं है. When you say the अंत है, that means then you are
limiting.
You're limiting, you're stopping yourself from saying अभी कुछ बचा.
Hey, so sorry for disturbing your viewing experience. But if you like the content we're putting out, please like and subscribe. It will help us bring more content to you. Enjoy. Who were your first mentors, sir? Like when you started this, like you speak from a place of, I think you're distilling a lot of human beings who kind of...
My place was my home. My mother, my father, my sisters.
Your cricketing friends.
My cricketing friends at a slightly later age. As I grew in cricket, by the time I was now shifting to college. But going back there, so it's a package. It's a complete package of learning.
But professionally, like once you started delivering to clients, once you were in a larger organization, you had a boss, etc. Were there people who kind of... Because all of this is raw material, right, in a way?
Professionally, bits and pieces. Professionally, from people. Yaar, what will please that barber? That day somebody said something so nice. How maybe I can do something. So still, I think mentor was life.
Is it?
What I saw in life, what I enjoyed in life. And yes, there were some things like my first boss, a man called Suresh Malik. He's actually the father of Mile Sur Mera Tumhara. He got me to write the song, but the entire concept was his.
Okay.
So he used to say something very nice. And that I liked and I always practiced it. He said, when people sing brand names 5 times, that's called a jingle. When you write a song, it's called a song. So like you said, in Mile Sur, कहीं पे भी हमने ये नहीं बोला मेरा देश कहीं नहीं बोला मगर आपको देश फील हो रहा था मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा तो सुर बने हमारा there is no this thing मेरा भारत मान
it's not direct at all
लिखा ही नहीं है वो because that's what Doordarshan was doing and that was spoon feeding. When you are spoon feeding, people are not feeling it. When they are not feeling it, they don't think it's the national anthem. So in anything that I do, I don't write I don't sing the brand name ever. And yet, end में एक नाम आता है. That's it. वो लिखा हुआ, ये बोला हुआ.
You're placing tremendous trust in two things. You're placing tremendous trust in your ability to tell a story that engages consumers, and two, and this is something which I find much harder to do. You're placing tremendous trust in the viewer to have the intelligence and patience to understand and achieve what you want them to achieve.
Without that, you're zero. My brother was a filmmaker. He's the maker of all Fewikwik and everything. And he says कि अगर fill in the blank नहीं होगा ना, आप जो भी creative काम कर रहे हो, तो तुमने engage नहीं किया. अगर fill in the blank नहीं हो जरा सा इतना कि सामने बैठा हुआ कह रहा, I got it.
I got it. You have to make them feel smart.
Yeah, I got it. So that's where he gets engaged.
Well,
you're talking to somebody who's not dumb. You're talking to somebody जिसको यार उसको ब्रश करना आता है और ये 3 तरह से असर करता है यूं करके यूं और यूं करके यूं और यूं करके यूं अरे यार वो 25 साल का आदमी गधा नहीं है उसको मालूम है तो उसको और कुछ बताओ तो if you do not respect your audience you will try and spoon feed. You try and spoon feed, you will not make him feel it. When you can't make him feel it, you have to run it 100 times When you run it 100 times, you say, यार इतना क्यों चलाता है?
That is so true. It's a virtuous cycle where you're
Correct.
kind of feeding
अरे I don't like this damn thing. Why is he playing? अच्छा वो कह रहा है साले पहली बार के समझ में नहीं है, इसको 10 बार दिया. He is not stupid यार.
So it's ineffective with ineffective.
So basically you are coming back to your interesting question. Basically you are saying ये सामने वाला intelligent है. वो तुम्हारा भाई भी हो सकता है, वो तुम्हारे पिताजी भी हो सकते हैं, वो तुम्हारी मदर भी हो सकती है, वो तुम्हारा दोस्त भी हो सकता है, पड़ोसी भी हो सकता है. उनमें से कोई बेवकूफ है क्या? नहीं. फिर उसको ऐसे ट्रीट करो ना.
And then it opens up the canvas of intelligent communication so much more.
Why do lots of people, I walk the roads, I'm at the airport, strange people, some ladies 50-year-old, some gentlemen older, there's 18-year-old, when I did the Cadbury, they were not born. And they'll come and tell, sir, I love your work, that. Because he was able to participate in the work.
Yeah. So you're saying three things. One is inclusiveness, second is curiosity by making them feel intelligent, and third is respecting them enough to know that...
Starting with the respect. Without the respect, then you are saying, अच्छा ये क्यों करते थे? Now everything is so simple if you take it back. Why were there nursery rhymes in English, Hindi, any language? Because you're saying, चल गाना गाते हैं. So you're getting them to engaged.
Correct.
Engage. You're getting them to participate. You're not telling them, दो एकम दो दूनी चार. You're saying कि अरे गाना गाते हैं. दो एकम दो. Take sound of music.
Yeah.
Take your...
Even do a deer. Such a
that, everything. And that is the basics from where you started and you forgot because you became smarter when you were 12 years old.
Correct.
मैं तो एक चीज बड़ी बार बोलता हूँ कि sometimes when I'm stuck, so who do I go to? I go to two types of people. One is a very young child who has not been, whose mind has not been contaminated by saying, if you do this, मौसी क्या सोचेगी, फलाना क्या सोचेगा, डिकाना क्या सोचेगा. वो अभी इतना छोटा है कि उसको ये तो आपको सच बात बता देता है. और एक है वेरी ओल्ड पीपल, उन्होंने दुनिया देखी है, डोंट रियली गिव अ.
Correct.
सो वो सच बोलते हैं. Rest of the people are conditioned. कि if I do this, what will this one think? If I do this, it's not a good thing to do. These two say, I think.
Yeah. Not a marriage award. Yeah. This is what it is.
So, the more you have people who speak from the heart to share things with you, the better off you are in imbibing that and taking your life further. So, one of the other things in my house, which was encouraged a lot, yaar, haso. My father used to laugh. Neighbors used to wake up in the morning. People tell me that I laugh very loud. I think I learned it from him. And any kind of expression was not disallowed in my house. A lot of things were shared. You're doing nothing, my father would come and say, अच्छा मैं तुमको अभी एक कबीरदास का सुनाता हूँ. कोई उसका पर्पस नहीं था. But when there is no purpose and there's just sharing, the atmosphere allows you to express yourself. And I think if we bring back to creativity, it is in whatever work, your work, my work, or anybody's work, is do not contain people. Never contain people. कह रहा है यार मेरे को एक आइडिया है. Don't say no, I'm thinking. हमें बोल यार क्या आइडिया है. Can we be like that? And that's when you see things blossoming around you.
Yeah.
And you will see everywhere. आपकी बॉम्बे शेविंग कंपनी पे, let's go there. नाई की दुकान. एक छोटा लड़का है जो वहाँ बैठ के देखता रहता है. वो शायद नाई का बेटा है या किसी और का बेटा है, वो देखता रहता है। या तो नाई से क्या कर रहे हो, जाके खेलो अपने दोस्तों के साथ, और गो एंड स्टडी समथिंग, और नाई डजंट से एनीथिंग, या डू व्हाट ही इज डूइंग। एंड वन डे दैट बॉय सेज, अच्छा मैं कैंची से ये काट के देखूं, एंड दैट गाय बिकम्स नाई। So I think there's a huge thing out there. I remember my father, and sometimes you make a mistake also. I was in class 6 or something, and there was this poetry recitation competition for the school. And my father thought he will be the champion of teaching me. And he was bloody good. तो उन्होंने सोचा इसको अच्छी सी कविता एक मिले, तो एक there used to be one famous कविता called मीरा का विषपान.
Okay.
और मीरा का विषपान was how Meera was given that poison and what happened, and she finally drinks it. तो उसमें शुरू की लाइनें थी, प्याला भरा विष का गरल का हरा हल का, वाला synonyms of प्याला भरा विष का गरल का हलाहल का, लाया गया कंपित करों से पास मीरा के, झलक रहा था समथिंग ढलक रहा था। मैंने सब कुछ फादर के इंटोनेशन लेके पूरी कविता जाके फुल फॉर्म में सुनाई, सारा हॉल भरा हुआ था, और मुझे कुछ भी नहीं मिला, ब्रॉन्ज कुछ भी नहीं मिला। आई केम वेरी डिसअपॉइंटेड, माई फादर वॉज वेरी डिसअपॉइंटेड। What had happened was that Kavita went over the heads of my teachers also. So my father said, chalo koi nahi. You know what he told me that time? Don't worry. Now we know the audience. Next time I got a gold because he got me to recite, इधर भी गधे हैं उधर भी गधे हैं, जिधर देखता हूँ गधे ही गधे हैं, गधे हंस रहे आदमी रो रहा है, हिंदुस्तान को ये क्या हो रहा है, घोड़ों को मिलती नहीं घास देखो, गधे खा रहे हैं च्यवनप्राश देखो। एंड दैट कैरीड ऑन एंड द हॉल वाज रोरिंग एंड आई केम फर्स्ट। अब मेरे को मालूम पड़ गया था कि तुम गधों को सुना रहे हो इसलिए ये ले लो। तो देयर वाज क्रिएटिव एनकरेजमेंट। ये नहीं कि
Your father sounds like an insanely cool person, by the way.
Yeah. So he said कि no, you didn't go wrong. I went wrong in giving you the wrong poetry. Now I'll give you the right one.
Wow. But this
So
is
that was the atmosphere in the house. So if we can create an atmosphere, we say in Ogilvy.
what did he do for a living? Your father?
My father was in the cooperative movement of Rajasthan.
Okay.
So that's where I learned a lot also, because he had to travel to small villages to meet the farmer, give them loans or collect the earlier loans. So I used to sit in his jeep. I was 5-6 years old. That's where I also saw India. That's where I used to go there, and there were no friends of mine. The village boys playing gilli danda, so I played gilli danda with them. They were playing marbles or whatever, I played with them. I ate what they ate, no complaint. So everything was falling into place about respect to environment.
Do you think children of today have?
Do you think we expose them? We quickly change our buildings to say, यार उसके अंदर तो club है. And there is one, they can't go out of the place. Okay, security can be an issue, but they can't go out of the place, and we define their lives.
One of my friends told me the other day, he's also a founder and he would love to meet you. So he said he has a 9-year-old boy, and he sent his 9-year-old boy to his friend's house, whose father is also this guy's friend, in an Uber on his own. And 10 minute का रास्ता था. बोला चल तू 9 साल का है, you're big enough, take an Uber and go, and I'm tracking you. I'm literally tracking you. I know the driver's name. I've spoken to the driver, etc. The friend's father lost his mind. कि बच्चे को अकेले Uber में भेजा तुमने. And my friend is telling me that यार मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि मैंने क्या घोर पाप कर दिया.
Correct.
तो बड़ा बच्चा यार. And he told me this he did the research on it, that like in the last 4 generations, the locus of control of parental supervision has gone from 20 kilometers to 3 kilometers to 500 meters to 0. And he's like, यार तुम risk
बस
reward
जीरो भी जाए तो साला अच्छी तरह जाना चाहिए क्योंकि जयपुर में रामलीला होती थी,
हाँ,
मैदान था, वहाँ एक स्टेज था, वो बहुत भीड़ होती थी बिकॉज दैट वाज द एंटरटेनमेंट ऑफ द मासेस. एंड माय फादर यूज्ड टू टेक मी टू सी द रामलीला. अब वो उनकी हाइट थी कोई 5'10", मेरी थी कोई इतनी 2.5-3, तो वो मुझे कंधे पे बिठाते थे. उनके सामने वाले के थ्रू वो देख नहीं सकते, तो 1.5 घंटे वो ऐसे खड़े होकर उसका सामने वाले का सर देखते थे और मैं रामलीला देखता था.
अब आप बताते थे उनको क्या हो रहा है?
हाँ, मैं बाद में बताता हूँ, उनको तो मालूम था ऑलरेडी. फॉर हिम द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग वाज दैट आई गेट टू सी. नाउ if you're concerned about that 10 kilometers, then bring them so close that you put them on your shoulders. That's my advice to your friend with the Uber. कि बेटा पास में लाना है, इतने पास में लाओ कि they feel it.
It's so true because the risk reward is so clear, right? कि तुम उनके हाथ में फोन दे रहे हो.
हाँ, correct.
And that person is mostly supervised by staff.
Correct.
क्योंकि आप हो नहीं घर पे. तो what is more dangerous?
Correct. That they don't realize.
And I've seen like I used to fall so much, sir. Like you won't believe. इतना गिरता रहता था ना बचपन में. My parents don't know 91 injuries I've had. कभी पेड़ से, कभी
पेड़ से तो मैं गिरा था ना, तो मेरे दोस्त मेरे को उठा के लाए थे. मेरे पत्थर पे पैर पड़ गया था, नंगे पैर था मैं, तो हो गया था हेडलाइन फ्रैक्चर. तो उठा के ले गए वहाँ, तो मेरी मदर ने पूछा क्या हुआ, बोलो पेड़ से कूदा था ये, तो इसको वहीं ले जाओ. बोला कि अब इस बार फिर कूदे और उसके नीचे मैं कितनी बार ले जाऊंगी, मैं दोनों पैर एक बार ठीक करा दूंगी.
Now that resilience, the parental resilience on children, which allowed you to have experience.
और ऐसा नहीं था कि नजर नहीं है.
Of course.
नजर है.
Not careless. It's not carelessness.
Not carelessness, but also a belief that this much you can handle it. Any more than this, then you'll say, yaar, bloody hell, now you're restricting me.
Creativity is only when you push the envelope of resilience of the mind, and that
खेलने तो दो.
वो muscle building.
अगर गिरेगा नहीं तो खेलेगा कैसे यार?
So tell me about your career, professional career. Like you started with India, and then you went on to take a global role with like an institutional giant in the space like Ogilvy. But I see that a large part of who you are comes from a very raw Indianness and Indian public sentiment. Could you apply some of those learnings to
I
your
think that's
colleagues outside?
That's what they saw in me. It's not that I knew what to do in Pittsburgh. But what they saw is that he cares for the person that you are reaching out. He grows a team of people who thinks that way. And that is the commonality. That he will respect the audience, he will groom people who respect their audiences who may not be known to me. He will keep the team of people and keep them motivated and give them the space to say, यार खेलो ना. अगर मैं जापान वाले से बात कर रहा हूँ तो मैं उसके जापानी थोड़ी सिखाऊंगा, मेरे को ही नहीं आती. But I'll tell him that listen, don't worry about what the British are doing. Just shake up Japan, touch their hearts. That's what took me there. That's what they saw in me. That's why they asked me to.
How was that experience?
Fantastic. I've been in the company for a long time. I knew everyone. And the experience was excellent because it was based on, when I was asked to partner the CEO, it was done with a whole lot of homework on me of saying, very simply, thank you.
Thank you so much.
If it's not good also, no, we will not try and be overbearing and tell you it's not good. We are talking about allowing creativity. So, they knew that I'm not going to get stationed anywhere. So they said, you do this, you do that. 3 times a year you come to New York, 3 times a year I'll come to India, and 3 times a year we'll meet midway in London. Such a beautiful way of looking at that. यार इसको ये चीज़ पसंद नहीं है, I will not come in his way. So it was a very well thought out thing. So when my secretary read out the email to me, I was in Goa that time. I said, read it out, whatever it is. She read it out. So after that I said, so Ophelia, what do you think? She laughed and said, now do you have an option? So that covered everything that I was about and everything that I was not about. It was great experience. It's a great company.
And do you think like the more human beings change, whether it's with time or whether it's with geography, the more they remain the same? Like the core of a human being, whether it's someone in Nairobi or Mumbai or London, is the same. But
It's the same. It's the same, and that's what we respect them for. We, on the Worldwide Creative Council today, we have some 30 odd people. And somebody is doing something for Honduras. Somebody is doing something for South Africa. Somebody is doing something for Mumbai. The respect is that my partner from wherever in the world understands his or her audience and is a wonderful human being. That the moment you put in the wonderful human being, then I think in every field, I'm talking about communication, but any field, a railway engine driver, the way he treats his group of people makes his team better.
Also, I'm amazed by your hold on language, both English and Hindi. The more, and just before this, when I was talking to Ranveer, we had a long discussion on how language shapes human emotion. Sometimes we assume that language is an expression of human emotion, but language also plays a reverse role. Like the more words there are, the more emotions you are able to feel and distill. Do you feel like a global exposure was eye-opening that way for you in terms of different languages, different cultures, different kind of clients, advertising, different
Not
kind of
eye-opener,
colleagues,
but exposure. More regular exposure.
Any examples from that? Because a lot of this, like I'm very like, for example, personally, I think Bombay Shaving Company can be a global business, but I'm always scared because I feel I don't understand the consumer in the US or in Europe or whatever. जबकि चेहरा वही है,
I think
बाल वही है.
you must reverse it.
Okay.
And say, okay, why do these people love this work that my people in Ogilvy, India do? So if you take the Fewikwik bus, everyone going in that tug in, and nobody's falling off. In the end, you see that little hoarding at the back. Because they get it. They get it and say that yes, they have picked it up from life and used it so beautifully and thought of it कि अगर इसके पीछे board लगा दूं. Now they say, they understand by saying, if I'm in Venice and I put 50 people on that boat, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah.
So, beyond language, sometimes, languages are difficult to know very closely when you're dealing with so many of them. But emotion you can always. Emotion binds you.
That is true. And it's consistent.
Emotion is, human being is a human being. Whether you are a father of a child in India or you are a father of a child in
the US,
on Buenos Aires, nothing changes. Nothing changes. A human being, and I speak at places and I say, listen, why is it that when you sit in this chair, your voice becomes baritone? Because there's a designation to the chair. Why is it that you are all right when you're standing? So when you go home, I have told clients, when you go home and you meet your wife, you say, hello sweetheart, how are you doing? ऐसे नहीं होता ना. इन लोगों से ऐसे क्यों बात कर रहे हैं? इंसान की तरह बात करना.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. About advertising and marketing as a broad function, sir, I think a lot of people today, I discussed talent pool with all kinds of founders, like the one before, and in general, industrially, advertising. I spoke to, I'll tell you, I don't know whether you met this gentleman, his name is Kapil Chopra. He was the president of the Oberoi Hotels, joined as a management trainee, hotel management trainee, grew up the ranks. Spectacular guy. He's in the hospitality industry, is like a thought leader.
And working for a great company.
And then he resigned at a young age, in his 40s, and then started two companies. One was Easy Diner, the other is Postcard Hotels. And they've both done very well. So, entrepreneur, operator. And he always speaks about transformative experiences. कि ऐसी चीज करो जो कंज्यूमर के एक्सपीरियंस के 10 साल बाद तक उसको याद है. Like do things which kind of last the journey, and that's what he talks about when he recruits people today in his companies. He said that, you know, when he applied for hotel management, there were 40,000 people who used to give the exam. Today there are only 7,000 people. So the talent pool is now diminishing, which is surprising because hospitality is booming, but talent is diminishing, which is very dangerous. And I don't know why the industry is kind of, they'll probably fix it. But then how do you see talent pools in advertising and in the marketing industry? Do you see them becoming unidimensional, shrinking, expanding? More people want to come into this field? How exciting is it today, given influencers and content?
Field has changed in the sense that you're still doing the same job, but it's got 10 names now. You say, okay, I am in digital. What are you doing in digital? You're still communicating to people through a different form. I am into X. What are you doing? I am trying to reach people. So, naam badal gaye. The industry is not shrunk. Its definitions have become proliferated.
But has it become sharper or has it lost?
All depends on how each individual takes it. It is, if you are smart enough to say, my purpose is still the same, but I'm reaching you through this in order to make a difference to your life, then it's still the same. If you become, नहीं मेरा काम ये है, अब बाकी वो देखेगा, then you've lost it.
Yeah, then you're right. So I think osmosis between the teams or between individuals. Can you build expertise in silos in the creative world? I've always wondered this. Like, for example, Hindustani classical music, there is a art form called Drupad.
I know.
Which is very complicated and difficult. And it's almost shrinked to very few practitioners now in the world.
Drupad Rajasthan में बहुत गाते हैं.
हाँ, राजस्थान का ही है. But because it is so sharp and osmosis is so low that we've lost the art form almost. Does that happen in the creative world of advertising and marketing, where you lose the kind of stuff that you were talking about before?
No, not really. People may lose interest. Like, for instance, today, the good old art person who drew that picture, वो digital पे करता है. उसको same मजा आता है कि नहीं? I don't know. I doubt it.
But वो शायद 10 गुना और बना सकता है.
हाँ, वो तो होता है ना, वो that is क्या उसको 10 गुना बनाने में मजा आया या एम्प्लॉयर को आया? That is the scene that we have to ask. उसने जब डिज़ाइन करके उसने यहाँ से ये लिया, वहाँ से वो डाला, ये वो, उसने काम खत्म कर लिया. नहीं भाई इसे ना यार ये थोड़ा फास्ट हो जाता है. I don't think he goes home and says, यार ये बनाया था आज मैंने, इसको मैं क्या फ्रेम करके घर में लगा लूँ. That is the thing. The
purpose of your work is something that in the creative world is so deeply embodied. कि आप भी, the way you talk about Fewikwik, it's like it almost seems mission oriented for you to have built out all that.
It is.
And sometimes when you silo the work, I don't know whether
it's silo का भी एक है. There is a triggering example that we have. So you can go to Elf Grover's school of fast bowling. X can go here, Rahul Dravid's batting academy. वहाँ तक तो आपने साइलो में काम कर लिया of learning what. But जब टीम में आके खेलोगे, the purpose of the silo is to give you expertise so that you can contribute to a match which is a team. Can you live as silos? No. Why do there's everyone has had many companies today. The philosophy of Ogilvy is one Ogilvy.
Correct. One firm, right?
Yeah. Whole lot of companies are now about one.
Yeah.
So it's feeling that कि यार वो तो अपनी ट्रिप पे, ये अपनी ट्रिप पे, ये अपनी ट्रिप पे. They have learned it by experiencing it.
Even McKinsey, they used to say it's one firm, one language, one office, right? So we had 220 offices. It's amazing that after 9 years after leaving McKinsey, I still call it we. 220 ऑफिस थे सर. अभी ज्यादा होंगे.
अगर हम वोडाफोन को भी कह सकते हैं तो यू कैन ऑल्सो
But we had only one supplier of curtains, only one supplier of those remotes that bring projectors up and down. Chairs एक ही supplier था.
वो बहुत ही
ताकि हर ऑफिस सेम लगे.
वो इतनी बेवकूफी की चीज है ना.
तो मेरे को लग
तो
रहा
मैं I hate that.
But you know their effort to like make you feel कि when you're in a McKinsey office, you could be in Rome or Mumbai or Cape Town.
I'm a different thinker on that. कि जैसे that free seating. Lots of offices have free seating. कि आप आए वहाँ बैठ गए, जो कल वहाँ बैठ गए, कल वहाँ बैठ गए. तो मैंने इनको एक दिन बोला इंटरनेशनल को, मैंने कहा थोड़ी अकल का इस्तेमाल करो कि वो इतनी सी स्पेस है, सॉफ्ट गोल्ड है, उस पर आदमी फोटोग्राफ लगाता है अपनी बीवी और बच्चे की.
करेक्ट.
एक अपने छोटे से गणेश जी या जीसस क्राइस्ट से कुछ लगाता है. एक उसके बच्चे ने जो पहली फोटोग्राफ बनाई थी उसके अंदर वो पहाड़ और नदी वाली, वो लगाता है. उसकी वो रोज उतार के कहीं भी नहीं ले आता नाई की तरह डब्बे में डाल के.
करेक्ट.
उसको उतनी स्पेस दो, उसकी पर्सनल स्पेस है. हाउ कैन यू डू फ्री सिटिंग? If you then you are playing with his emotions, and anybody who is playing at low emotions will not give you great work. Never. यार मेरे को अपनी इतनी सी जगह में सॉफ्ट बोर्ड में तुमने मेरे को अपने बच्चे की तस्वीर नहीं लगाने दी. रोज शाम को उसको निकाल के डब्बे में लाके वहां ले जाऊंगा. That's not life.
That is so true. It is that person's home away from home.
That much.
Yeah.
For that you say कहीं भी बैठ जाओ. कहीं भी कैसे बैठ जाओ साले.
That is true.
I don't buy that.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Tell me, sir, like you've had clients in the, of course, the brand space. You've worked with political organizations. You've worked with, media. What have they taught you? Who has been your, let's say, top 3 favorite people to people, not institutions?
It can only be people. No? You can find a fantastic politician. You can find a fantastic media person. You can find anyone. So,
who have you enjoyed working with? Who made your creative juices flow the way they did? Who kind of stimulated you the most?
For a career which is 42 years long, there are a whole lot of people. Sometimes they could be the guy when you're working alone at 2 o'clock at night. You've got something to deliver. And one guy stays back who gives you chai. And then when you're leaving, you say, and this happened to me, कि यार तुम बंद कर लो. मैं बैठा हूँ. बोले नहीं सर, नहीं तुम जाओ, मैं लगा दूंगा ताला. मैंने बोला नहीं सर, आप अपना काम खत्म कर लो, मैं यहीं बैठा हूँ. फिर ताला लगाएंगे, फिर अपन दोनों सेम ट्रेन में चलेंगे. मैं भी वहीं जाता हूँ, आप भी वहीं जाते हैं. नाउ he doesn't have a designation. He was a chowkidar of the office.
Correct.
But he made an impact on. So impact can come from anyone. It's not one individual. It comes from anybody. It can come from, as I said, the chowkidar of the office. It can come from a secretary in the office. It can come from your boss. It can come from anyone. As long as you appreciate the human being. बिकॉज क्राफ्ट करने वाले और अपने प्रोफेशन में एक्सेल करने वाले तो आपको खूब मिलते हैं.
करेक्ट.
लाइक व्हाट विल आई से अबाउट दोज पीपल? आई रिमेंबर देयर वाज अ many years back, 2 decades back, it was Women's Day, and 4 boys came to me. They were all, एक साला वो बनाता था स्टू, एक बनाता था कुछ और. बोले हम खाना बनाएंगे. सारे 250 लोगों का ऑफिस था. आप सिर्फ वो अपम मंगा लेना, एंड वी विल कुक फॉर ऑल द वुमेन इन द ऑफिस ऑन द टेरेस. इट्स वुमेन्स डे. व्हाट डू यू टेल देम? आई विल नॉट फॉरगेट इट फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ माय लाइफ. थॉट है और किया उन्होंने.
इट वर्कड.
बहुत मतलब
in your mind, like from a mental side, you remember it so many years later.
The women, when they'll not forget for their lives, कि अब तुम बैठो और हम सर्व करेंगे तुमको, हमने बनाया। तो चाहे कैसा भी हो, नमक ज़्यादा हो नहीं हो ये वो, those women will not forget for the rest of their life that somebody thought of this, thought on women's day। ये नहीं कि सबने सबको प्लाट दे दिए। This life is about these little things, these human emotions, these gestures.
But it takes a lot. It seems like a little thing, but in that moment, right, it's about the thought and then executing and then going and buying the vegetables.
Executing तो सारे के सारे आते हैं ना, जैसे ही आइडिया आया देन अच्छा यार इनके लिए आप मंगाओ, इनके लिए वो करो, इनको एक गाड़ी दो, ये इनको प्याज लाने ये वो, then everyone chips in कि क्या अच्छा आइडिया है। So nobody is stealing their idea. Everyone saying okay, I'll help you in your idea. Now that's what spreads like magic.
How do you think the industry is changing, sir? Like, do you think people are becoming more like a lot of industries, especially given IPO markets and given short memory cycles of people feel that leadership, CEOs, etc., have become more short-sighted and myopic. Long-term thinking is lesser, more impatient around outcomes. Do you think that is happening with the advertising communication world as well? People are a lot more here and now, virality, this, that, like, what's the next big thing for a spike?
तभी साले एक साल से ज़्यादा रास नहीं करते हैं CEOs.
That is true. That is true.
See, long term is about happiness and consistency of growing a business. The short term things are okay, मैं ये डिलीवर कर दूंगा तो Q1 के बाद में मुझे ये मिल जाएगा, उसको ये मिल जाएगा. That's the way. Why do in America हर बड़ा CEO साला जाता है ठिश कितने एक उनका टाइम क्या है, 1 साल 1.5 साल जो भी है,
6 to 8 quarters on average. But the ones who stick for long.
So those are the ones who build the brand. These are the ones who wanted to say okay, like startups, ये दिखा के ऐसे करके मैं ये कर दूंगा, आधे साले बंद हो गए.
Yeah, that is true.
मैं joke about this with my sister. इनका स्टार्टअप तो ठीक है, इसके पास बाकी तो है नहीं जो जब स्टार्टअप नहीं चले तो धक्का लगाने के लिए.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
That is again comes back to number of things we discussed today कि एक अकेले से कुछ नहीं होता, टीम बनाओ और एक रात में कुछ नहीं होता है.
So long term with people and have the intellectual humility to constantly absorb. For me, the takeaway is, and they're so simple.
And nobody is saying that don't excel in your results also. Excel in your results.
For sure.
Excel in your results in a fashion that you say, aha, I can do it again next year. Oh, now 5 of us can do it.
Yeah.
So we can do more of it. Oh, रात गई और बात गई. Startups is not my way of looking at life, nor is it the world's way of looking at life.
Yeah.
सारे तो बंद हो रहे हैं.
Correct. वही तो मतलब I think Mukesh Bansal, the founder of Cultivate and Myntra, he told me an interesting thing. कि तो अगर कंपनी के 30, if you look at a company that survived for 30 years, or look at a company that survived for 20 years, 92% of the value creation happened in the second decade versus 8% in the first decade. तो पहले साल तो हो ही नहीं कुछ भी
नहीं हो.
तुम अगर 30 साल की कंपनी देखो, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल Amazon is now nearing its 30th year, Google is nearing its 30th year. Almost 80% of the value creation is in the third decade. 15% in the second decade, 5% in the first. तो my investors are Colgate, 200 साल की कंपनी है. Reckitt, almost 100 साल की कंपनी है. You look at Unilever, Procter, decades. Cadbury you spoke about, decades of work, right? There's no way you can build a brand in a.
हम खुद ही 100 साल के हैं यार. Ogilvy.
That is true.
तो ये बेवकूफ नहीं थे ये लोग.
Doing Mathis is 100 years old.
India itself is 1928.
Really? And continuous, like almost.
नाम बदल गए थोड़े, वो हो गया, कभी डीजे कीमर थी, कभी बोमैस हो गया, कभी ये हो गया.
यहाँ पे बहुत like very incestuous, but like a lot of very acquisitive friendly, right? Like a lot of mergers, people like acquire shops very quickly and kind of get them in. Like is that a hallmark of service business in general, like consulting?
ये नया है ये merger का.
Is it?
अभी I still don't know how successful they are. See, what I was telling you about Ogilvy, 1928, it was a trading company which did some ads. It was DJ Kim. And then it was later on bought by somebody who's called Benson's Overseas Marketing and Advertising Services, BOMAS.
Okay.
So when then it became SH Benson.
Okay.
Then it became, एक आध नाम मिस हो गया बीच में. Then it became Ogilvy, Benson and Miller. Then Benson got out. Then it became Ogilvy and Miller. Today it's Ogilvy. So it was not about mergers. It was about
Organizational
similar kind of a thing that you bought because वो सस्ते में मिल रहा था, and then आप आगे बढ़ते गए.
That is true. That is true.
And in between they must have bought कि okay direct marketing company खरीद ली, PR company खरीद ली. That is
You buy skills. You buy skills or you buy partners.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
That is true. I think in the service world वो तो है. But keeping the culture intact, I think, is something which...
That I don't
leadership-
think lots of companies would claim that, but from what I hear from people who left also, formed their own companies also, there is, in advertising business, it is probably the most beautiful culture that David Ogilvy started, and the rest of the people after him built on that.
Which is what?
Amazing culture.
Yeah.
Amazing culture.
Define
again.
it like in a few sentences if you can. Like, what is it about this? Culture is such an easy thing to talk about, so difficult to articulate.
I think the culture out there is a people's culture.
Okay.
I'll tell you some examples also. That Russian dolls. वन या थी वो बड़ी डॉल के अंदर एक छोटी डॉल के अंदर एक और छोटी डॉल.
हाँ.
So David Ogilvy used to give the Russian dolls to all new guys. And what he used to say is that always hire people who are bigger than yourself. Otherwise, we'll become a company of dwarfs. And we want to be a company of giants.
Easier said than done. It's so hard to do.
But if you look at that culture, तो मैंने एक बात मैं बताई आपको. If you think like that, तो वो 10 बातों में आती. Then you treat people with that respect. Then you look at people with that generosity. And a whole lot of things he wrote. I think the culture is about people. People and treating the other guy better than you are. That is the best way of defining the culture.
And you think it's percolates across offices, across hierarchies, across teams?
Nothing would be 100% successful at all, but
Best effort.
But hell of a lot is true. Some fell out, some didn't like it. All that will happen.
We're talking about Ogilvy's culture. So one is, of course, a culture of people and building a company of giants. And did you see that consistently play out in
Yes.
in the way you recruited, inductions, teamwork, delivery, etc.?
The best way of judging that is the number of years people stayed.
That's true.
Whether it's in New York, whether it's in India, anywhere. The number of people who stayed at Ogilvy, suddenly you said, यार क्या बात कर रहा है? तेरे 20 साल हो गए. मैं अभी परसों I gave one memento to somebody
20 years.
20 years of service. I feel, यार तू याद है मुझे, तू बिल्कुल बच्चा था. तो yes, one measure.
With attrition or lack thereof.
The other thing I was telling you earlier, we are a little out of context, but yes, it suits. Because me and my predecessor, Anjan Kapoor, as the chairman of the company, we used to say, we measure our success on the basis of the levels of laughter in the corridor. If that is not culture, it was not about 10% grow कर लिए हम 15%. अगर ऑफिस में मजेदार लाफ्टर चल रहा है, इसका मतलब पैसे आ जाएंगे.
लोग खुश हैं.
हाँ, लोग खुश हैं तो पैसे बनेंगे, कहाँ जाएंगे?
This comes from your father also, right? Like he wanted you to express. Made a home where people, you had a singer, you had like cricketer, and
Happy homes.
This is success.
And, yeah, but this was what we used to actually say. Even Kamala means that we judge our success on the basis of the levels of laughter in the corridor.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And how do you spend your time today, sir? Like what keeps you busy? You seem to be full of energy and out and about. Do you spend a lot more time on with the younger people, mentoring them, or you like picking up projects which are more open-ended? How do you spend time? What gives you joy today now?
Chatting with them also is again without a agenda. क्या हो चलो कुछ बात करते हैं. Then we see कि बात कहाँ गई. Which drift is it taking? That's nice. And sometimes you let them talk and you are learning here. You have so much to learn from them. You may not be able to learn it fully to implement it yourself, but you learn to appreciate it. Instead of saying, यार ये क्या करता है, the computers are useless.
No, I know. That's true. That happens a lot. People reject technology. I've started doing it. Like all of these kids are so much younger than me. I feel like I've almost dinosaur.
Dinosaur to me.
But yeah, you're right. I think this being there is important. Sir, before we let you go, people who are watching this are potentially entrepreneurs, business builders, someone who wants to get into building a brand. They're probably younger. 21-20 साल के हैं वो. Most of our audiences are sub 25. One word of advice to them to kind of give them the courage to go and build something and what they should do, like what they should do to make sure that they maximize their chance of success.
I'll tell you a story. You'll learn from that more than a sentence I'll give you. There is a league in Bombay, cricket league called Kanga League.
I know.
Kanga League is played during the monsoon and it's played on very, very wet wickets.
And very competitive.
And in that, I've played a match against Sunil Gavaskar also.
Oh, is it?
Long time back. उनकी टीम ने बनाया 58, हमारी टीम ने बनाया कोई 56. मैच डिसाइड हो गया. इतने बड़े बड़े प्लेयर्स थे. उसमें क्या होता था? When you go into bat, don't think too much about the wicket. Otherwise, you will be half out before you start batting. So to the youngsters, I'm saying, if you feel like batting, bat. Don't be scared. There's nothing else I can say. Don't be scared.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. And thank you for being generous with your time, your insights,
Don't worry, I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.